Welcome to the Biloxi City Council meeting, Tuesday, December the 6th, 6 p.m. meeting. We're going to start off with an invocation by Dr. Tisdale and the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Glavin.
Almighty Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect the citizens of Biloxi. Continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is in service for all Biloxians. All this we ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Dr. Tisdale. Thank you, Mr. Glavin. I need a motion to amend the agenda.
Easy.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence. Need a second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? Call for the question. All in favor? Okay, 7-0. Motion carry.
We have to read
Got a motion to move the agenda as amended by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Glavin.
We haven't read it.
Oh, we haven't read it. Got to read it into it? Okay.
To the policy agenda, we're adding item 4D, resolution appointing Wendy Lally to the Biloxi Tree Committee. Adding 4E, resolution appointing Ronnie Bogart to the Biloxi Planning Commission. Adding 4F, resolution appointing Dr. Larry Drawdy to the Biloxi Planning Commission.
Need a motion to move the agenda as amended. Moved by Mr. Lawrence,
Second.
second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? All in favor? 7-0. Motion carry. Presentation agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I want to welcome everyone to our December meetings, and that pretty much concludes my report.
That was pretty quick, Mayor. I don't see any department reports, so I'm gonna go with the council reports. I'm gonna start with my right. Mr. Barrett.
I just want to remind everyone we One more time. There we go. We're having our Wool Market Christmas Parade on Saturday. It looks like we're going to have good weather. Starts at 2:00 p.m. at Shortcut, ends at Wool Market Elementary. And we're going to have great weather. I think we have a good amount of participants this year, so I invite everyone to come out to that, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Glavin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think there's a small error on the policy agenda. Dr. Drawdy is the Planning Commission for Ward 6 representative, not Ward 3. So that's just a scribbler's error. Just want to note that. Also, I just got a text message from a concerned citizen at the traffic light at Cedar Lake and Medical Parkway. They're just asking that it be checked out. Even when there are no cars in the turning lane, the signal is defaulting to the turn, and it's backing up traffic from time to time. So if that can be controlled better, we may want to look into that. Had the honor to be at Felix Gein's announcement that he switched parties, and I just want to commend Councilman Gines. He's always been a great representative for the people he represents, and he's always followed his convictions, and his speech at that meeting was very moving and very telling of his leadership. So congratulations, Mr. Gines. Best of luck.
Thank you.
In your pursuits there. And then finally, thank you, Mayor, for inviting some of the council members and others to the ribbon cutting for the boardwalk and the enhancements and the science project, as you put it, to put that beautiful knee wall up and for everybody to enjoy. We were as we were doing the ribbon cutting, you saw the cyclists and the joggers and people that were walking along that great stretch. And so I think it's going to be a great enhancement to the city of Biloxi. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Tisdale.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'd mentioned this to you briefly earlier in the week, but anything we can do to get traffic off of Porter and Forest Avenue to use that new Division Street, to get, particularly the Keesler traffic I'm talking about, that would be terrific. If we can get Keesler maybe to cooperate with us on that, I'm sure they would. I don't know if we have delivery trucks or contractors that have been going along the bay by the old Keesler Hospital to make their deliveries. I don't know if they're using the new gate yet, but it'd be great if they could just come over the I-110, hit Division Street, and spare the residential area just all that traffic.
I think we're, finishing signalization and then the lamps and traffic, I guess, flow is pretty much lining up. So that should be done shortly. I'm not sure when the 18-wheelers will be accepted on, but I think that pretty much will be the final clearance to come down Division Street, everyone.
Right. Appreciate anything you can do for those residents over there. Pennzoil Park, we've got new lights done in the last 6 or 8 months, and light poles. We've got trees trimmed and dead trees removed. We've got new playground equipment. All we need is a water line, water fountain, and a spigot for dogs. That's all we need, and that park would be complete till something else pops up. But if you can help us, well, I'm not worried about the birds. The birds are on their own, but would appreciate if that could happen in the near future. The only other thing, and this may seem petty at Christmas time, but I counted the lights on Christmas lights that were recently put up on Pass Road in Ward 5. There's 4 on the north side of Pass Road, and there's 1 on the south side. If we could double that number, that would be my Christmas wish.
That would be 9. That's what you want.
Okay. Now, I'd settle for 9. I'd love 10, but I'd settle for 9.
All right.
But anything we can do to spread cheer at that would be greatly appreciated. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tisdale. Mr. Deming? Nothing? Oh, okay. Mr. Newman? A
Unless you
report?
wanted me to comment about your speech. I didn't get to see it. I heard it was great, but I didn't understand. Dan told me you came out of the closet today. He said you came. He said you came out on Monday, and I was surprised because I had no idea you were in the closet. But then he told me we only had 2 Democrats left on the council, George and Paul. Just kidding. He gave me $50 to say that.
Now, Mr. Newman, you've gone far.
Mr. Lawrence?
Are you switching parties, George?
Thank you, Mr. Deming. Mr. Lawrence?
I was originally with the Whig Party.
With the wig.
100 years ago when they had the Whig.
Abraham Lincoln.
That's right.
George
around-
Washington.
Yeah, we hung around them a little while. As far as Forest Avenue, Paul, they finally got everything open. So we'll see if traffic relieves itself on Forest Avenue, because now you can drive all the way down to Benaki with all lights on, and you can come off the interstate with the trucks. The truck's not supposed to use Back Bay. But you can't tell people to quit going down Forest. That's just the way they do it. But I mean, it's all open now. It's all paved, so there's no reason for them not to use the lights and the gate to go straight and not go around a circle. So anyway, couple things. Cutting the walkway, that was fine. And all we need to do now is make sure we keep it clean. Because it's all concrete, so the grass growing through the thing, just got to take care of that. I don't know if that's the responsibility of the city, so we need to make sure people are going to use it, the runners, the joggers, and everybody. I mean, it's a lot of people use it, so it's a good thing. But make it look good. Keep it up. The light in the lighthouse was well attended. There's a lot of people. That's having it at the lighthouse. I don't know, maybe they need to move that thing across the street. There's way too many kids in the middle of that medium. I'm telling you, that was packed. That was a big crowd. And the boat parade and the Christmas parade for the kids, Friday and Saturday, was awesome. You know, they always looked great. It was foggy, but it rained, cleared up so you could see the boats well. So both of those events were well attended, and they turned out great for the city. You know, so that's something that's good to support. Kids are always happy to see Santa.
Fireworks went well, right?
Yeah, and the fireworks was fine. Everything fine. It's, you know, you shoot bombs in a war, in the rain, that snow, it don't matter. They're going to explode. They're going off. So if people worry about that, that's not going to happen. And the only thing you're talking about, the Christmas decoration, I think Town Green should have more decoration. I kind of like the main focal we have in the town with the decoration. I know we got them all over the post, but I don't know if we have to either buy more decoration, because you know what, that's our spot. You know, we compete with Gulfport. They got 500,000 tied up in their lights. Of course, the casino put that up. You know, we put our own up. But anyway, I just think something like that should be pretty, what do you call it, festive for the holidays. So I think that's something we need to look at too. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Lawrence, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. And I have a few things I wanted to mention this weekend. Nathan, I'll be at your Christmas parade on Saturday, and on Sunday at 3 o'clock, we're doing the Ward 2 Christmas parade along with gifts. We have a lot of donations, almost 300 to 500 presents that we're going to be giving away. And we're also going to have a Santa Claus on the back of the fire truck. So we're looking to have a wonderful, great time. Mayor, I wanted to throw something out to you is later on this week. We just want to have a conversation with you about Back Bay Mission going in and out of Keesler, you know, some of the things that we're looking at in that area. That concludes my report.
I wanted to bring up one more thing, please.
Okay, go ahead. That's right.
I know we've talked about this a few times, and we've discussed it among the council. The pay raises, did you ever come back with anything or told us anything?
We're going in the executive section on their pay raises. He has some paperwork on it. So I already got that set.
Okay,
Okay?
good enough.
Anything else?
Yeah, gotta stay on top of him, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Them Croatians are like that.
All right, we're going to move on to the public agenda. We have a total allotted time of 45 minutes, 3 minutes per person. If you come up, please sign in first. Sign in before you start talking. Is there anyone on my left, your right, who want to come up and have comments? Anyone on my left? Okay, none. Anyone on my right? Anyone on my right want to come up and speak? Anybody in the back of the room? Okay, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close citizen comments. Okay, before we go into a policy agenda, we need to go into an executive session. And I need a motion and a second on going into closed session for the purpose of examining the necessity to go into executive session to discuss raises.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence,
Second.
second by Mr. Glavin. Any discussion?
Yes. Are we able to go into executive session to discuss pay raises, or is that topic not covered by executive session?
Okay, personnel matters. Let me change that then.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I didn't get the script. Okay, we're going to go into closed session and for the purpose of examining the necessity to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters. I need a motion on that. Moved by Mr. Lawrence,
Second.
second by Mr. Glavin. Any discussion, Dr. Tisdale?
As long as we're discussing personnel matters, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, call for the question. All in favor? Okay, 6-1. Mr. Deming. Okay, I need the council to conclude closed session and reconvene in opening meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence,
Second.
second by Mr. Glavin. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-1, same vote. And I need a motion and second to go into executive session.
So moved.
Mr. Lawrence,
Second.
second by Mr. Glavin. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-1. Okay, go into executive session. All right, I need a motion and a second on the council to conclude the executive session and reconvene in the open meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence,
Second,
second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions?
any action?
No action. I want to say that no action was taken. No action was taken at all on personnel matters. Any other questions? Call for the question. All in favor? Okay, 6-1. Mr. Deming in the dissent. All right, we're going to move on to the ordinance, first reading, policy agenda. Ms. Carey, A.
Ordinance to amend the due date for payment of utility bills.
Need a motion on the.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Tisdale,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Lawrence. Any questions?
It's first reading, huh?
First reading, absolutely. We're going to move on. Move on to resolution B. Carey,
Resolution granting conditional use approval for an auto repair and servicing facility without paint and body work located at 2381 Pash Road.
So moved.
moved by Dr. Tisdale. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Newman. Any questions?
Just like to make a comment real quick. This is the old Walmart, and they had an automotive section, and this is where they're going to do all the work, basically. They still have the automotive section in, I think it's called Cubit, which is what the old. On the east side, it's out of view of the public and so forth, so I don't have a problem with that. I hope you can support it. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Call for the question. All in favor? 7-0. Resolution B, carry. Policy agenda, resolution C, carry.
Resolution granting conditional use for a convenience store with gas sales located at 2790 Beach Boulevard.
Need a motion on it? Ward 5?
Yeah.
Policy agenda C.
I'll move it for discussion if I can get a second.
Moved by Mr. Glavin. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Deming. Okay. Mr. Glavin?
I'll defer to the councilman in that ward.
Okay. Ward, Mr. Dr. Tisdale?
Yeah, thank you. I'm not in favor of this project, and I'll tell you why. I don't think there's a compelling need for a gas station at that location. There are several gas stations within a mile of that location. It also includes a liquor store and I think a dining area inside. There are 4 liquor stores within a mile of that location, and I hadn't even mentioned the trees. That's a concern as well. But those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments on that?
Is this the old Olive Garden property? Is it the total complete piece, or is this part of it? I tell you, Fofo, something we need to do. We got 14 nickels somewhere. We need to fix these mics. This is terrible. And people try to listen to stuff on TV that come in and out. Why is it so hard for us to talk to each other in this room? We can talk to someone on the moon. We can't talk to each other in this room.
Okay. The Planning Commission and the City Council have already approved this project one time. What happened is that they came back with an expanded project. It was a conditional use that was approved for this site. And originally they were asking for a depth of 250 feet from the service road back to the end of the line that they were going to build on. The reason they came back is because they added another 130 feet to the depth of the project going in. The reason it's conditional use is because a convenience store with gas sales, the gas sales is what triggers the conditional use. They also decided to add a 1,400-foot liquor store to the convenience store. This is, it's zoned correctly, you know, with the conditional use for what they're asking for. They were able to reduce the number of trees to be removed from 17 down to 13 because they, during the Planning Commission meeting, they agreed to move some of the parking spaces that were in there. So That's kind of the gist of it. The designer is here, one of the builders is here, and they said they'd be happy to come up and answer any questions the council has about the project.
Any more questions?
No, I was just trying to make sure, this is the whole piece of property?
No, sir, they're not using the whole piece of property that Olive Garden used. You know, that parking lot goes way back. They're using probably 3/4 of it.
Are they using the beach side as part of it?
The beach side,
Yeah, highway side, Highway 90 side.
they're on the service drive. They're not on Highway 90, the service
No.
drive.
I said, are they using, are they putting something on that Highway 90, the service drive? It's facing Highway 90.
Yes, sir, it faces 90, yes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, are they doing that? Are they using the whole front part of the property on the Highway 90? Or are they going down the road like, the first one was just a little, supposed to have been a little convenience thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't very big at all.
Most
But
of
that's
what,
not the same people doing this, is it?
that's doing what, Mr. Lawrence?
The new one, this is somebody different.
No, this is the same group that was originally going to do this, this location. The majority of what's in the rear, up on the service drive, you know, they'll have the canopy for the gas sales, then they'll have the building itself, and the majority of what's in the rear is parking.
Yeah, refresh my memory a little bit, Mr. Krill. What, was it a gas station originally?
Yes, sir.
It was?
Convenience store, yes, sir.
Convenience store? Okay,
When
and,
it came through the first time.
and what are we doing? Just adding on to put a liquor store at the back of it?
They're adding the liquor store, and they extended the parking area in the rear back another 130 feet.
Okay,
So, they
and
did
you
some,
said this was already approved, correctly?
Planning Commission and City Council had already approved this one time, but it was a conditional use, and when you change something about a conditional use, then it has to go back through the process again. So
Okay.
that's why it's back before you today.
What do you have around it, around this area? Because I'm trying to think, and I don't know. I think it looks like a blank area.
It is, there is some activity beginning to happen in the medical facility that's back up near CT Switzer Road. Also, I can tell you that a piece of property just east of this sold for a hotel, and that project will be coming forward very soon, so.
Okay, and how did the planning commission vote?
Planning Commission voted 11-0 to approve the conditional use.
So there was no real big objections to this project?
No.
I think the vote on that was 8-2. I think Mr. Delahousie and Mr. Dellinger
Thought I just.
voted in opposition for that. It's okay.
Yeah, well, my only thing is, you know, if you got a lot of dead space, you got to, I mean, and this is something beachfront, and we want somebody to put something out there. Of course, we want to make sure it looks good.
You know, all this area where originally was occupied by mom and pop hotels, that kind of thing down through there. The closest convenience store is at the north end, Patch Road and Disease. You know, you have a Shell station there. You got Murphy's over in the small parking lot, but this would be right.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. And again, the gas station was already approved in its original state. Okay,
I have a question.
okay, go ahead.
President,
Mr.
this
Black.
is for the owners. You said the owners are here? If you don't mind, if you can come up to the front, I do have a couple of questions. So I recall this issue. It came before us, and there was supposed to be a 7-Eleven developed there, and there was some controversy because 7-Eleven said they didn't really know anything about it. We were supposed to get the big Slurpees and all that kind of stuff. There was some fanfare, and then that quickly fell out of favor. Can you speak to that real quick as we?
2082 Beach Drive, Gulfport, Mississippi. I'm the owner with Rob Stinson. We own the Reef, and we also own 24-hour storage along Potts Ferry. We've done quite a few developments here along downtown Biloxi. And part of this thing here came about with somebody didn't have the ability to close the property. And I live literally in Gulfport, literally 300 feet, my house on the beach. And so I was nervous about being a 7-Eleven. I was concerned about being a gas station. So I feel that Rob Stinson and I were very, very vocal about trying to be having something clean. You can see what we've done at Salute with the architectural and the landscaping. Same with the reef, where we always keep our facilities clean. I pride ourselves in our storage facilities. That's probably the cleanest storage facility around. And so one of the things we want to do is make sure it's well lit up. We currently have a liquor store in D'Iberville, and it doesn't look like a liquor store. You walk in there, there's no dust in the bottles, well lit, spacious and open. Same thing, just try to provide that opportunity. The nearest one, liquor store to the west, would be Bin 605, which they moved to a new location just north of Pass Road. The nearest location to the east of that location of a liquor store would be the Edgewater. We've done our demographics and we've done our study, and it will support it well. And just having just an area, open, clean area. Same with the liquor store. We wanted to make sure, because this is my neighborhood in that area, we wanted to make sure that we have well-secured, well-lit area, and we just didn't want a 7-Eleven or something that was going to be run down and flipped over time, right? That was my concern as an owner. So the best way I can control safety and concern is have it well-lit. We pride ourselves in not building anything ugly. I don't want it to look like a gas station. We want to do a lot of stucco, brick, minimize the signage of, whether, I think our flag, matter of fact, I think our flag is Chevron. So we just want to have the Chevron logo, focus on having some of our better po' boys that we serve at the reef, like an over-exaggerated, overflowing po' boy that's roast beef and a shrimp po' boy, and focus on fried food. We have a lot of interest there from the Legacy condo, which they have a huge VRBO and short-term rental, and so that'll service that industry, plus a lot of apartments in the area. And it scored very, very well. We hired a national company that does this all over the place. Our jobber is, correct me if I'm wrong, Freddie, Warren Oil out of Vicksburg, and they have an office in Biloxi off Woolmarket. And they did a study also on the need for, which we're going to have non-ethanol, and the reason we wanted that expansion a little bit further back is really to have better turning radius and make it safe. We can build a gas station the way it was presented to you guys originally, but we really want to have more space for people that use non-ethanol, such as landscapers, boaters, and then also provide diesel and then regular gas. And we just didn't like the congestion of that.
Sure.
And then also moving it back allowed us to save trees and just have a better architectural look to it also.
Yeah, well, I appreciate those comments, and, Rod has his reputation, the reputation of y'all's company goes without saying. Ironically, this property, former Olive Garden, and former Mayor Gerald Blessey, this was his golden star, if you will, on preserving trees. In fact, when we were creating the tree committee that now exists, that was the centerpiece on how we said business and preservation can exist. And I remember the pavers that they put on the ground as you drove under the majestic oaks and all that kind of stuff. And there were hundreds of cars that parked in there and were waiting in lines to go to Olive Garden. And so it's ironic that we sit here today and kind of debate that we'll be removing, I don't know, how many trees was it, 13, 18? How many trees? 13 trees. And, I'm at a little bit of conflict on this issue, and I'm trying to resolve it and reconcile it, that if we do vote for it, that it is the right move going forward. So that I need some data or information to convince me. So I thank you for your comments. That concludes my questioning. If somebody else may. Sure.
And they're just not, they're moving their locations to Orange Grove or rooftops. And so I'm tired of seeing that.
And sir, I appreciate that comment. We've had property, the White House Hotel sat dormant for 30 years. and came within inches of being demoed. I understand that. That's the conflict that we have, and that's a responsibility we have. And look, I want the best outcome. I know you do too, but I do appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Tisdale.
Yes, Mr. Camarena, you don't need to sit down. You're fine. Thank you for coming. And Mr. Stinson, you're his partner in ventures and everything. You put out a great product. I eat at the restaurants frequently. I have to buy bigger pants. The food is that good. It really is, and I know it's healthy. If this was a restaurant, I'd be well, no, I'm not a dancer, but I would be in favor of it. It's just the gas station that I have a problem with at that location. So I'd love it if you said, why don't you table this and we'll come back with a restaurant at that location? Just a restaurant, though, with just a restaurant sign. Anyway, but I appreciate you being here and fielding questions. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Jerry, I have a question. My only reservations on this, or what Kenny has, is the trees. But let's hypothetically say that the council denied what was presented to us today. They can just go in and build their gas station that they originally presented to us. Is that correct? Isn't there an approval to? So explain to me again the difference is basically everything's just pushed back further from the road than what was approved originally?
There's a couple of things. Number one, originally they had 250 feet of depth there at that corner. They increased that from 250 feet to 387 feet. Okay, and then they've added the 1,400-foot liquor store as a part of this. And let me correct something. The vote was 8-2 on that. It was the tree hearing that was 11-0. That was at the end of the minutes.
Okay. So if just hypothetically, it was voted down, they would still be able to go and build a gas station. It would just look different than what we're looking at today.
That would be my opinion right now, yes.
Council could remove the conditional.
Okay. Does that conclude your comments?
that's all I
Mr.
have.
Barrett? Okay, Mr. Deming?
Mr. Creel, do you know what the purpose of increasing the offset or the setback is? Is it to add more parking? The added 137 additional feet?
Actually, when they reviewed it, they needed a little bit more turning space on the DeBees Road side in order to make sure that their trucks could get in there to fill the tanks. So it gave them a little bit more width on their curb cut on that DeBees Road side, but it also did add some more parking spaces, yes.
Throughout the back and forth with the council, did I understand correctly that there originally was 17 trees that were going to be removed, and now it's down to 13?
Yeah, the application that went to the tree commission for approval was 17, but during the meeting, Mr. Fountain, the designer, said that they had figured out a way to save 4 more. And it involved some moving around of some parking in the rear of the building.
That's good to hear. I think that's all I have. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for your changes.
Ms. Newman? Anything?
Which those trees were already approved with the last resolution, correct?
To be removed.
To be removed.
They had a tree hearing at the first hearing too, but this was an increase, so they had to come back and ask for it again. When they increased the size of the conditional use, they had to update the request for the trees. The designer, Mr. Fountain, you know.
Sure.
Okay, that's it.
No, he's coming. He's coming.
Freddie Fountain with Fountain and Associates, 1822 15th Street, Suite 12, Gulfport. Yes, there was a previous tree hearing for the last case that was approved by the previous developer on the smaller impact, but their
That's embarrassing.
I think the battery's going dead.
Yep.
Let them have the mayor.
the 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 previous app well, I don't think it's working either.
It is, it's on.
The previous application's tree survey was not accurate. They did not show the amount of trees that our tree survey showed on their survey. They showed only impacting one tree, but in the impacted area, whenever our surveyor went out and actually located them, they were working off of an old survey from years previously. And whenever our surveyor went out and actually shot each individual protected tree based on the city's ordinance, there was more trees that would have been impacted in their plan than they were originally showing. And speaking of 17 trees, 6 of those trees were actually not live oaks. We only ended up cutting, I believe it was 11 live oaks. The rest of them were just larger palm trees that are not very aesthetically pleasing anyways. So as Mr. Camarina said, we're gonna have very nice landscaping. All the finishes on this facility are gonna be top of the line. It's kind of gonna be more like a racetrack gas station. That's kind of the finishes that we're going for, with a nice tall glass atrium in the front, stone on the bottom, stucco above that. And as far as the depth, a lot of the depth that we gained was because of the configuration that they had previously. The configuration before showed the gas pumps running parallel with DeBees Road. We turned the site to have the gas pumps out towards the service road. It makes the site more accessible. And we also added our delivery area, which before they didn't have a delivery area. Our delivery area is on the north side of the building. We have a brick wall that's coming out, and the liquor store's going out about 15 feet further than the gas station. So it's gonna create a nice little area that'll be hidden from the public for all the deliveries and all the trash and things of that nature. We wanted to hide all the ugly side of this facility. And as far as the liquor store, Mr. Jerry would have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe whenever we looked at this project, the the liquor store is actually allowed by right with no conditional use. It's just the gas station we're asking for the conditional use for. And as stated, this was a previously approved use. We're just tweaking it, making it more user-friendly, and I feel like the site is gonna be a lot nicer because all the trash and things of that nature is gonna be more hidden than it was in the previous site plan.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, I'll make the, you
Go
got
ahead.
one more? Okay, go ahead, before I make the final comment.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, when you design the building, is this you gonna have sit-down eating inside? I know he wants a restaurant, but are you gonna have, a lot of these gas stations have like a section where they go in, people sit in and eat? Will that be available at this point?
There is going to be some seating, and this is going to be a very large gas station. Right now, we show it at 5,600 square feet. We've got laid out for there to be a large coffee station, ice cream station. There's going to be all the ices and fountain drinks that you can imagine. It has a huge cooler that's going to have all of the drinks that you can imagine. And I did want to speak to the location and all the existing gas stations in the area. If you're looking at just Highway 90, somebody that's traveling east-west on Highway 90, the closest gas station without having to get off of Highway 90 is the Shell station over near Veterans, and then the next the Kangaroo by Beauvoir. And then the next one is the Circle K in Long Beach. There's no other gas stations on Highway 90. All the rest of them, you have to get off of 90, go up, fill up, come back down to 90.
How many pumps you gonna have?
I believe we have 12 number of pumps. I believe it's, okay, 16 pumps, sorry.
16 pumps. And the 13 trees that you have to take down, that's all live oaks, majestic oaks?
Majority of them are 24-inch diameter live oaks, and we've agreed to replanting on-site or contributing to the tree fund.
I know it's hard when you design these things, you save a few trees already, but is there any other way you can adjust anything else, save a couple more trees? I mean, it make everybody happy, that's all, you know? Have you looked at other ways of adjusting it?
The majority of the other trees are in the building pad or in the center of the driveways. We've made the adjustments that we can in order to still build the facility and it be functional. The remaining trees, like I said, I've suggested this in the tree hearing. We can save some of the palm trees, but those are not very nice anyways.
Yeah. And the food, you're talking about all the different things inside the gas station itself, or the building. So are you gonna have, you said so many, just like Subways, all the different places inside of this? All this ice cream place, the different drinks and everything?
No, sir. There will be stations, self-serve stations. The only food vendor that will be in there is it'll be a limited menu from the Reef restaurant.
That's right, but you'll have some seating?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'll make the final comments on it. I always look at what the planning commission has done, and of course, they've approved it. And right now, looking at the project, it's already been approved, basically as a gas station. You just want to move forward. I respect my colleague here, Dr. Tisdale, but looking at the project, it's going to move forward anyway, and something is better than not having anything. So I'm going to go ahead and, my opinion, I feel like you guys have a great reputation, and I believe it's in order to pass it, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and.
President, may I offer just maybe a pause with this and motion to table for a week or two, or a meeting or two? And this is my reasoning. As the designer has said, originally there was one tree that they were going to remove. Now it's more than one tree. And perhaps the design can be tweaked. And again, I find it ironic that the tree committee was born out of the concept of this very site where Mayor Biloxi kind of bridged that together and touted how you can have development and preservation that can coexist. So perhaps the councilman in this area, this ward, Dr. Tisdale, if we table it for a meeting or two, maybe something good can come of it, and there could be some additional tweaks that it is more friendly. Maybe not, but I would offer that. If it doesn't get any steam, I'm good with that too. But I would offer a motion to table for maybe a couple of meetings.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Glavin to table it. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Lawrence. Discussions on the table.
Can I ask a question?
Go
real
ahead.
quick? Okay, so Jerry, just for clarification, the project has been approved with a little bit different design, closer to the road. It's not pushed back as much. Second question is, did I hear correctly that regardless of what we do here today, a liquor store can go there just going through DRC and then pulling the permit as long as everything's in place? There's a use by right.
Liquor store is a use by right in
So-
zoning, which is what this is.
So regardless of what we do today, unless the council makes a move on the prior approval, this project can go forward just in its original form, and then a liquor store wouldn't even come before us. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's all I
That
have.
would be my opinion.
Okay, Mr. Deming?
Just to piggyback on that, not only is it the prior approval included the removal of multiple trees compared to this one, I don't remember the number. I think it was 17 and now it's down to like 13, right?
That's correct.
So this actually saves more trees. And I think, Mr. Glavine, I think when
The original plan, though, the original was
well,
one tree.
let me speak to
One.
that. Actually, I think the guy said that they were working on a bad survey when they stated it would take one tree.
But that's the information we
Mr. Fountain.
had
Well, Mr. Fountain,
approved. That's the information we had when this was
You want Mr.
approved
Fountain
originally.
back?
yeah,
Okay.
the information we had when, yeah, Mr. Fountain, explain the difference between the number of trees. If the information we had was only one, how would they have been authorized to remove 11?
No.
Or, I mean, 17?
So we did a new tree survey whenever our developer acquired the contract for the property. A brand-new survey was done. So that depicted absolutely all of the trees. The trees hearing that went before was off of an old survey.
When did that one? Who brought that one to us?
The previous developer.
So it's been 3 times.
No,
One-
it's
one
been-
time with
it's
one?
been twice. Once by the previous developer, and it was approved for the removal of
One.
one or
That was the previous
very
developer.
few trees.
But that project went nowhere.
That has the conditional use approval.
Okay, off one tree.
Yes, sir.
Then how did we get to this 17 or 11?
They did not have all the actual trees that were on the site identified whenever they did their plan.
I know I'm missing something. It's just not clicking.
It was one tree originally, then they came back and
Maybe I can help.
Well,
Okay.
Wait a minute, Mr. Deming got the floor. You
Well,
done?
I'm going to allow Mr. Tisdale to fill me in. I
Okay,
think he
go ahead,
has
Dr.
found a way to,
Just maybe this will help my colleagues here on this side of the counter. There was a previous developer who brought the project forward, and you were the engineer on that project.
no, sir.
Somebody else was the engineer on
Somebody
the
else was.
project. Okay,
Felix Bertucci
correct.
actually presented that project.
That's what was before the
That's what was
council.
approved before,
That had a faulty tree survey.
based on what I saw. it did
Inaccurate,
not-
an inaccurate tree survey.
Sir.
And I think the site plan was a little bit different.
It was slightly different.
Okay, so, and since that, and we approved that conditional use, and Jerry, I believe you said the conditional use was for a gas station? Okay, but the fact of the matter is, with this conditional use that runs with the property, if, I don't think this is gonna happen, but if Mr. Cameron and Mr. Stinson decided to sell the property tomorrow, somebody else could do something that may or may not require a conditional use at that property, and if so, the conditional use is already there. Correct, correct. Right. Exactly, and I think that kind of makes it a little confusing. Basically, there's a conditional use that's going to be there for no matter who is buying the property or developing the property, whether they need that conditional use or not.
That's correct.
Okay, so we started with one, we switched developers, and that's how we got to where we are.
what did the tree committee, 11, I've got my notes say it was 11 to 0 in the tree hearing. How many trees were in question in that hearing?
At the first hearing or the second hearing?
Whichever hearing the tree committee heard.
Okay. At the first hearing, because only one tree was being removed, there was no requirement for a public hearing on the trees.
Okay.
It was only after it exceeded 5 trees where the public hearing is required.
So they've gone back to the tree committee and have received an 11-0 on removing 17 trees.
That's correct. 13 trees.
Okay, 13 trees, got you.
You said 11 of those are oaks,
I believe it was around 11 of those were oaks.
and the, everything else is palms, and of those, you said most of them are 24 inches or less.
Yes.
And the tree committee heard that, but the council hasn't heard that yet, correct, Jerry? Correct. From this developer, the Bertucci's we heard, and that's what we voted on to create this conditional use.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I feel like I
tree
may
hearing-
have a grasp on this.
Yeah, the tree hearing would not come to the city council unless an appeal was filed, and no appeal was filed after the public hearing for the trees.
Okay. Mr. Barrett, I'm gonna run through everyone. Mr. Barrett, Mr. Glavin, anything else?
I just want to make sure we clarified, when this council made the original approval, there was one tree that we were told was going to be removed. Now, with the new development, there are more trees. That, to me, that's a little bit of a game changer, and we should take a small pause.
Come all the way down.
We should take a small pause, see if there's something that can be done. 2 meetings isn't a long time when you're talking about preservation. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Tisdale?
No, but there are some small but significant things here, points to be made, I think, particularly for folks who are following this. Previously, at the previous developer, there was one tree that was going to be removed at the time. So the tree committee, I don't know if they're notified if only one tree is removed, or whether the tree committee, the city's tree committee, is notified once it involves more than 5 trees, is it, Jerry?
That's what triggers it. If it's 5 trees or more, yes.
Right, so the tree committee, somebody, I feel confident, somebody from the tree committee, because they kick this around at their monthly meetings, I'm sure there was quite a bit of discussion and recommendation on this one way or another before the planning commission. Before the planning commission voted 11-0 on approving the I guess, the tree decision, or moving it forward, all right, and allowing the public to speak at that time. So I think that's caused some confusion. That's not on the part of the engineer or the developer. It's just between the development changing hands and tree surveys, one that was accurate and one that wasn't. That's kind of muddied the waters a little bit. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Deming?
I just, with regard to the conditional use, unless the council takes action to remove that conditional use, they can move forward, right?
The first conditional use would remain in effect, yes.
Right, and what does it take to prevent the council from doing that? Is there, what process does the developer have to go through before it's too late for the council to do anything should they wish to? Not saying that we do. I actually support the project. I just want to understand the process.
Well, the city council, this is not something we typically do. The city council has already ruled on that first approval. You know, if someone in the majority brings that back up, if y'all vote to go back and revisit that,
Jerry, let me ask, what year was that, the original, the conditional use?
that was earlier this year.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that was us.
Yes, uh-huh.
No, it was us, but I have a problem with, I think with what my colleague, Mr. Glavin, has a problem with, is that we voted under false pretenses. And I think that sets a really bad precedent for this council to create conditional uses based off of faulty information. While regardless of what those trees were, I don't know that I would have voted for or against it at that time. I just think that Mr. Glavin's right, that we were presented a conditional use application to remove one of what we call in the city protected trees. And regardless of how I feel, I think we should probably do this the right way. And I'm kind of at a loss because I don't know how to handle this, in my opinion, morally or ethically. I think procedurally, it's already flawed.
Well, the city council didn't err the first time. They voted on what was presented to them at the time. So you actually voted on an actual conditional use that was presented to you. What's happened now is that this developer has come back and has expanded the project, which is why this project is back before you again. Now, I'm sure there's some legal aspects to this, but if a conditional use is approved and somebody goes and buys that property based on that conditional use approval, and then all of a sudden the rug gets jerked out from under them after they've purchased that property, that would set up a situation where we could have some litigation concerns. But again, it's not something that we deal with every day. I mean, you have the right to approve this or turn it down with the new presentation, and they could move forward with the previous if they wanted to. I just don't know what the process would be from a legal standpoint of the council going back and removing a conditional use that was approved earlier this year.
I think that's, and I don't know yet, I think we'd have to have legal counsel do the research, but I think that's almost implied in a conditional use. The idea of a conditional use is it's conditioned on something. But given that information, like I said, I'm actually in favor of the project, but I would like to know, I would like to set the record straight, especially procedurally. I'll support the motion for 2 weeks. I don't know that there's a deadline or right. So you guys have the property, so I don't know if 2 weeks would create a great encumbrance upon you. And if not, I'll support the 2
May I
weeks.
say something under your?
Yeah, go ahead.
I as well am trying to support this project, but because of some of the new information, I just think it's incumbent upon us to take a look at it. We may come back and say, okay, but reforestation and putting in money to the tree bank, that may be the remedy here. And I may be more comfortable with that, but the original plan was hardly any trees were going to be removed, and that's when I voted. I voted in favor last time for conditional use for this project. And I'm just saying a couple of meetings, that isn't too much to ask, I don't think.
And I agree with what Robert said. You know, we know you guys do awesome work. Of course. Great projects all across the coast. But if y'all are okay with 2 weeks to make sure that we get this right, get everything cleared up, I'll support tabling it as well.
Okay, Ms. Newman?
Okay, this is where my head's at. Even if they didn't come back with improvements to the property, if they went out to build this building and it was only approved for one tree, and then they're like, oh crap, we can't build the building because we got more trees that we got to cut down. So therefore, they would still come back to us for that approval on the trees. And also, what is the point of having the tree committee if we're not going to go by what they recommend? If they don't have a problem with removing of these 11 trees, I don't see why we should have a problem if that's what we elected them to do.
Okay, Mr. Lawrence?
Y'all remember this was passed at a 7-Eleven. This, when the first product was on the table, the 7-Eleven, didn't know anything about a package store. There was one tree, and about a week later, we got a big write-up in the paper said, no 7-Eleven was coming down here to the coast. I think what you're trying to do now is way better than it was originally. Bigger building. I like the restaurant part in it. I like the package store, but it's a bigger piece of property. And yeah, I think they ought to look at the trees. And we should be concerned about removing 11 trees anywhere. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing, protecting the trees. That's why we have all these rules in place to do this. But I'm like them. I think you need to look at it, and maybe you can save a couple more. And also, I'm for tabling it. Let's get it right. And as far as removing conditional use, you can do that anytime you want. You might get sued, but you can do that. We have the power to do that as a legislative body of the city of Biloxi. But that's not the purpose of that right now. What we're trying to do is make sure that it's right, and what y'all plan on building and taking care of the trees along the way. So tabling for a couple of weeks, I think is a good idea. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Tisdale?
Jerry, the tree committee did submit a report, correct, on this
Yes, they did.
project for the second bite at the apple, so to speak. And that all the planning commission members receive a copy of the report.
Yes, sir, and typically what will happen is Mr. Washer will read. If it's not extremely lengthy, he'll go ahead and read that recommendation into the record.
Right, and they have, since I sit on some of those, they have sometimes extensive recommendations, and they may just suggest that this project not move forward, but the Planning Commission still votes on that. It might be helpful to get copies, hard copies of that tree report from the committee and their recommendations to the council clerks, and they can put a copy in our mailbox.
We can do that. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll have the final comments. My first question was, I think you guys already admitted, spoke of it. Did the tree committee actually look at it? Did they actually go out there and look on the property?
The tree committee, yes. The planning commission, serving as the tree commission that actually makes a decision, typically those people will go out there as well, because a lot of them had intimate comments about the property that indicated that they had gone out there and seen the trees on the property.
Okay, and with that information, it went before the planning commission, and the planning commission approved it.
Planning commission approved it 11-0, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my comments. I guess we have we need to call for the question. And that, well, we had the time of already, so we're gonna vote on.
Motion to
Yeah.
table to
So we
December
got
20th.
Right, so what's on the table now is the motion to table it for 2 weeks,
December 20th.
December 20th. So we're gonna call for the question. All in favor of tabling it to the 20th? Raise your hand. Okay, that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all against, 2, Ms. Newman and myself. So the motion carried to table it for 2 weeks to the 20th of December. That was painless. All right, what was that? C, okay, the consent agenda, we finally made it. I need a motion on the consent agenda. No. Oh, we got 4D?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, where'd he go? Oh, gotcha. Okay, number D, Carrie?
Resolution appointing Wendy Lally to the Biloxi Tree Committee as Ward 5 representative.
Okay, I need a motion on Ms. Lally.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Dr. Tisdale, second by Mr. Lawrence. Any questions, anyone on the board? No questions, all in favor? Okay, that's 5-0, motion carried. Mr. Lally, you want to come up and say a few words? All right, thank you, and we appreciate you serving. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to policy agenda D. Carrie?
Resolution appointing Ronnie Bogart to the Biloxi Planning Commission as Ward 3 representative.
Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Newman, second by Dr. Tisdale. All in favor?
Any discussion?
Discussion. Yeah, any discussion? This is E, Ronnie Bogart. No discussion, all in favor? Okay, 5-0, motion carried. Mr. Bogart is he in town? He's not in town. Okay, we're gonna move on to F.
Resolution appointing Dr. Larry Drawdy to the Biloxi Planning Commission as Ward 6 representative.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Glavin, second by Mr. Lawrence. Any questions?
I just want to say Dr. Drawdy is more excited than I thought he would be to serve on the Planning Commission, but I appreciate his energy and enthusiasm. I think he's going to be a great representative.
Okay, anyone else?
They'll do an outstanding job, I'm sure.
Thank you. And just for a note that it was correct on the original paperwork.
Thank you.
Okay, so call for the question, all in favor? Okay, 5-0, motion carried. Now the consent agenda. Need a motion on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence, second by Dr. Tisdale. Mr. Lawrence, we're gonna let you go first.
Yeah, up on the Hilla Park and Coon Street, this is money we already receiving, are we?
Yeah, it's the budget that we will transfer, so when we use it for a Thailand's project, we'll get reimbursed. It's a leftover from the projects that we finished.
Okay. And the other one on V, we looking at the leasing, the Mercy Cross property.
Yeah, the north part of it. I mean, yeah, the northern half of that, which the utility authority had purchased the southern
Is
half.
that count, is that including the gym?
It does, but I'm not sure of the details.
And what we plan on doing with that property?
No plans at this point.
None? Something we'll discuss or what?
Well, I think Peter's been having some discussions about with other organizations, but I can't give you any additional information. There's no, other than just securing that place, the property. That's what the purpose of.
Yeah, because the gym's the only building on the property that's left, you know?
Yeah, well, there's the part of it.
So we're using that, Boys and Girls Club we're using it for a little bit of everything.
There's some utilities questions and so forth that Peter's had been working on, I think. So, but this will clear all of that up.
And I know it's the only gym we have down here on the east end of town, right?
Right now.
So, I know we lost the one in Ward 2, so this is the only one left. Just checking that out. Thank you.
Okay, that's it, George?
That's it.
Whoa. All right, Ms. Newman? Nothing, Dr. Tisdale?
Yes, on item O, this deals with the bond house. We're looking at declaring that surplus property. We have some city offices at that location now, correct? Where would they be moving to? Tents on the Mercy Cross property? Okay. All right. Is the Sweatman house, is the Sweatman family aware of the? Okay, all right. That's it, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Glavin?
Yeah, on W, X, and Y, I just want to make a comment. I want to appreciate our city, our engineers and Public Works and the administration for putting these on the consent agenda. Supervisor Beverly Martin has worked hard within their budget to identify these roads in the new Ward 6 in Woolmarket as roads that need to be repaired, and looking forward to these projects getting off the ground. I want to add that Supervisor Connie Rocco, she knows that we've identified Skeet Hunt as a road that we have on one of our project lists. She's asked that I just mention that there could be some culvert repairs that they're willing to kind of help us out with, and maybe that needs to be coordinated before we go and repair the road and have to tear it back up to repair some culverts on Skeet Hunt. She's also working up a quote for Hickman Road that has some drainage issues with a failing culvert. Very, very important as those fire trucks that may have to go into that area can safely travel over that road and that infrastructure. And that concludes my comments.
Okay, Mr. Deming? Okay, and I have none as well. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the consent agenda? Okay, 6-0. Any?
None.
None? Ms. Newman? None? Mr. Deming? None? Dr. Tisdale?
I just want to note my opposition on V right now. That's the Mercy Cross property, simply because it sounds like Peter would have more information, and that's the only reason I'm voting against it. Other than that, I'm good with it. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Glavin, any?
I have none.
Okay, motion carries. All right, code enforcement?
The first item on the agenda, item A, Nicole Beckman, 272 Dewey Circle. This property is still in violation.
Tullis Garden. Okay. Is there anyone in the anyone representing Nicole Leah Beckman? Is there anyone representing Nicole Leah Beckman?
Okay.
Next.
Item B, Wanda Gatlin, 737 Clover Place. This property is still in violation.
Okay. Is there anyone representing Wanda Gatlin?
Then come talk to the mic.
Okay, we'll get it done.
Item C, Joseph Anthony Camont II, 841 V Street. This property is still in violation.
Hmm. Is there anyone here to represent Joseph Anthony Camont? Okay, come on up, speak.
I'm here to request an extension on that. Mr. Joseph is currently indisposed, and I'm trying to pull up some people to try and work on this property.
How much longer you think it'll take to get it wrapped up?
That's kind of hard to tell because I just recently found out that he is not available.
Mr. President, I visited that property today, and I spoke to friends of Mr. Camont, including Mr. Michael here, and he is dealing with some issues, and I would at least request a 30-day and see if some progress can be made and go from there. But I would request
Got a
30
motion
days.
by Mr. Glavin for 30 days?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lawrence, all in favor? Okay, 7-0, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Item D, Glenn J. Soser, 1737 Thomas Jefferson Drive. This property is still in violation.
Okay, is there anyone here representing Glenn J. Socia? Anyone here representing Glenn J. Socia?
Item E, Urban Transitional Living LLC, 273 Queerens Avenue. This property is still in violation.
Okay, is there anyone here representing Urban Transitional Living? Anyone here representing Urban Transitional Living? That matter's closed.
Okay. Item F, Welch Family Limited Partnership 5, 0 Beach Boulevard. This property is still in violation.
Okay, is there anyone representing the Welch Family Limited Partnership? Anyone representing the Welch Family Limited Partnership? That matter's closed.
Okay. Item G, Portland Biloxi LLC, 1865 Beach Boulevard. That case has been resolved.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Creel. I need a motion on the routine agenda. Moved by Mr. Lawrence.
Second.
Second by Dr. Tisdale. George?
Walt, got an update on our money coming in?
Good evening, council. Yes, I do. As I stated in our last meeting, we had 1.395 million in the queue, and we received that last Thursday. And this Thursday, we'll have an update from our MEMA with our MEMA FEMA conference on the next tranche of funding.
Appreciate the update.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions from the council?
Killing me.
I know we're on the routine, but is there anything we can do about these mics? I mean, we're gonna do something where people can come here and talk to us, you know? I mean, we look like a Mardi Gras dance, everybody run up to them, hey, Mike, yeah, talk. We gotta do better than this. Let's put it that way. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor on the routine agenda? 5-0, well, 6-0, motion carry. Need a motion to recess?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Tisdale,
Move second.
second by Mr. Lawrence. All in favor? 6-0. Meeting closed.